In this video, we're going back to Football Manager 2020 to find out how this game predicts the years 2025 and 2026. We'll go through every single season up until the 2026 World Cup and look at all the major leagues in Europe, continental competitions, the World Cup itself, and more. What is your bold prediction? Let me know in the comments down below, and now let's go into the video. So basically speaking, this is me in FM20. You can definitely see this game has evolved during the years. Of course, we're waiting for an improvement with FM26, but FM24, you must admit, it looks a little bit better. And speaking about the experiment itself, these are the leagues that we'll be following in this video. I decided to add some more outside the top 7 for the sake to have some variety. But now, let's go to the first transfer window and then we'll see what's going on from that point. Transfers. All transfers, thank you. Biggest transfers. Of course, it's a first transfer window overall in this save, so obviously there won't be much going on here. But all I'm saying is, why is Manchester City needing Arturo Vidal? Like, I understand Odson Edouard going to Liverpool. This Lucas Leiva and Real Madrid? This is already getting weird. Starrier going to Monaco. Juranovic found his way from Hajduk Split to Genk. In real life, he went to Legia Warsaw, then went to Celtic. But that's all I could find in terms of the transfer window. Now let's go to the end of the season and see what's gone on in every major league, basically speaking. Solskjaer has already been sacked from Manchester United and he's unemployed. That means Manchester United needed to do badly this season. Manchester City wins, then there's Tottenham, then there's Chelsea. I mean, it isn't anything super unusual, I want to say. Going down Watford, Crystal Palace and Sheffield. Crystal Palace, as usual in this game, I've always seen them getting relegated or on the verge of relegation. How about the Championship? Who's going up? Huddersfield definitely is back. Leeds and West Brom. League One, what's going on here? Sunderland wins over Oxford. And then we've also got the League Two. And there's Stevenage, Colchester, Bradford, and also going up later, Orient going down. Premier League top scorer, I want to see that. Aguero and Wilson, both 24 goals. Callum Wilson, of course, overpowered in FM20. I'm not sure if we'll even see anyone else rather than the top 3 winning the whole thing. But Barcelona absolutely dominated the league. Then there's Real Sociedad on 4th getting that final Champions League slot. But that's really much it. You don't see any Conference League places because, well, you guessed it. There's no Conference League in real life just yet. Serie A. Juventus, Inter, Milan, Lazio. Now, you might remember that Juventus was called Zebra, but of course I got the name fixed. And Cristiano Ronaldo is the top scorer. Bayern just ate the league. They just walked it. Borussia Dortmund, Leipzig, Leverkusen, nothing unusual. I think things might get interesting, like 3 seasons in or something. Of course, they have to eat the league, basically. Monaco, Lyon, Lille, Nice, Angers, Liga NOS. That's what I also want to check out. Porto, Benfica, Sporting Braga. Derek Guimaraes won the cup. Where's the Netherlands? Why is Netherlands so low in the competition reputation rankings? And Vincent Kompany is still playing, by the way. Wasn't he? Yeah, he's an assistant manager and the defender at the same time. He's still playing and he's still doing quite well, I guess. What is this? Honestly, what is this? Why is there 4 groups for European places playoff in the Belgian top league? What's going on here? We've got 16 teams. Royal Mouscron, whoever they are going down. But they still get to win places playoff. They get knocked out in the semi-final, so that's nothing unusual. But what is this? What is this system, honestly? Okay, Eredivisie, I don't care now. Of course, Ajax won it, but who's then? AZ Alkmaar final. Wow, PSV very low indeed in 5th. Okay, what are the other leagues that I want to check out? Turkey. Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Sivas. Where's Besiktas? Besiktas is 6th. First weird results going on here. Synod Liga in Czechia. Slavia won. Jablonec in Europe alongside Fastov Zlin. Opava, of course, going down. If you want, you can check out the Build a Nation series. Poland, which was back then still divided into 2 groups of 8 at the end of the season. Who's won? Lech. Yeah, I want to check Slovakia. So Žilina won European places. That's good, although they finished 7th, so that's not good at all. They finished 2nd in that season. Slovan Bratislava, of course, cooks the league. We want FA Cup. That's the only one that I care about. Arsenal won. UEFA Champions League, because I've got the name fixed. Barcelona won. Business as usual, only the top 5 leagues going in, plus Zenit from Russia, because Russia wasn't banned back then. First knockout round, Man City. Anything unusual? No. Barcelona won it. That's all we know. And also the Europa League. Bayer Leverkusen won. over Wolverhampton, who had a brilliant 18-19 season. Galatasaray in the semi-final. It's actually a huge deal, I wanna say. Now it's the year 2020, and because there is no postponement, we are going to have the UEFA Euros right now, so I'll simulate to them and then I'll see you, and we'll see the results. I just want to see what happens there. Belgium did not waste their golden generation, and won it. They've won it. Over France, 3-1. Anything surprising? Switzerland in the penalties in the semi-final could have eliminated Belgium. Doing well. Wales, Poland, that's also a good result. But Belgium has finally won a major international tournament. Now let's go to the transfer window. Harry Kane went to Manchester City for 157 million. You've already got Sergio Aguero. You've already got Gabriel Jesus. Why do you need Harry Kane as well? I've seen Paulo Dybala going to Liverpool for 94 million. This is already getting crazy. Lautaro Martinez is in Tottenham, so that's a very good swap for Harry Kane. Sancho decided to skip Manchester United and go straight to Chelsea. Bentancur, Brozovic, Coutinho went to Bayern permanently, but this time definitely he's not scoring 2 goals in an 8-2 thrashing. Oyarzabal, Manolas to Arsenal. That's an interesting transfer. So many transfers above 50 million euros. Fekir went to Barcelona. Do you remember Nabil Fekir? He was like a hot prospect for Liverpool. He was meant to join Liverpool, but he did not, and then he went to Real Betis. And now I don't know what's going on with him. He's in United Arab Emirates. Barely 32, he could still play in France or whatever. Benfica are having a bit of a crisis because Rafa and Gabriel have been taken. But other than that, anything like super weird. Segankov from Kiev to Dortmund seems normal to me. Perisic went to Bayern. Napoli with a transfer window and a half. Izo, Mikolenko, Rafinha. But other than that, oh, we got the transfer to China, because before Saudi Arabia there was China. That was a huge deal. Bruno Petkovic, also a Croatian striker, went to China as well. So definitely we'll be seeing a couple of Chinese transfers this window. Solly March went to South Korea. Osimhen is in Leipzig. Schürrle decided he actually replicated his real life move to Spartak Moscow. So what we're going to do now is we'll go through every single season in the top 5 leagues. Portugal, I also want to say Poland. And the rest of the leagues, we'll check them out only in 2025. And then we'll see who's won and all that. But we're starting with La Liga, still the most reputable league in Europe, by the way. And it looks like Real Madrid, of course. Of course, they've won it again. Other than that, I do not see anything out of the ordinary. But now let's move on to the Premier League. Liverpool. Liverpool have stopped Manchester City's 3-year domination. Let's go! Manchester United finished 5th, and I suppose Arsenal have won the Europa League because they have the Champions League qualification. Other than that, Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham are in the UCL. Manchester United and Southampton are in the Europa League, but someone else is in the Conference League. Crystal Palace is back up, so at least that's good news. Derby County is getting promoted with them. Bristol City as well. Serie A. Juventus, again. I mean, they're going to dominate this thing probably for a couple of years at least. Bologna in the Conference League. That's definitely something I've noticed. Fiorentina is a bit low, to be fair. Bundesliga. Dortmund have won it over Bayern Munich. We finally have someone new winning the Bundesliga. And definitely it isn't the team that has already broke Bayern's domination here in 2011 and 10 and 12. Wolfsburg and Bayern making it to the Champions League as well. And, of course, Ligue 1, PSG, of course. 105 points. This is before Ligue 1 got reduced to 18 teams, but that is still bizarre. And, of course, the Liga NOS, Porto, Benfica, Braga, Sporting only 5th. That's actually, wow. That's actually a weak result. To the UEFA Champions League. Barcelona won it again. They actually are doing the Real Madrid thing. They just keep winning. Anyone interesting in the group stages? So it's basically the business as usual. 1 over Manchester City 2-1. Yes, I thought like this, and it's true. Arsenal won the Europa League over Manchester United. Anyone like super interesting in the earlier stages? No, only the top leagues. Round of 16 is maybe Besiktas here. Ekstraklasa, Legia won 87 points. I mean, they've made it to the Europa League knockout stages, so that was quite expected that they're going to do well now. Why is Rosołek second top scorer? So what about the coefficients? That's the last thing I want to check. I mean, top 10 business as usual. Minus Russia because they aren't banned yet. Poland is down to 28th despite having over 6.8 points already. But other than that, I don't see anything really out of the ordinary here. On to the transfer window in Season 3. By the way, what a group in the Conference League. But this one doesn't really matter. this one doesn't really matter. We want to see the transfers. Sadio Mane went to Paris Saint-Germain. Dembele went to Manchester City. Bailey is in Chelsea now. Skriniar went to Real Madrid. Kai Havertz went to Chelsea just like in real life, but a year later. FM being pretty realistic. Diogo Jota, rest in peace to Inter Milan. Romelu is in Chelsea, so another realistic transfer here. Ruben Dias went to Inter. Joško Gvardiol skipped through RB Leipzig and went straight to Manchester City. Interesting, Malcolm left Russia for Bayern. Zinchenko is in Juventus, that's a big transfer as well. Chris Smalling also went to Wolves. That, I would say in 2020, that would be a realistic transfer. Lucas Moura went to Wolves. Wolves are spending quite a lot of money here. Perisic again made the transfer, this time to Wolfsburg. Drongowski is in Bayer Leverkusen now, I guess. Yarmolenko went to Bournemouth. Like, we don't see any transfers happening in the Middle East. Sorloth repeating his real-life move and going to Trabzonspor. Szymański leaves for Udinese. Let's make it to the end of the season and then I'll see you there and we'll recap the major leagues. And we're starting again with La Liga, which still stays as a most reputable league in Europe. And Barcelona take back the title from Real Madrid, so of course it's the usual story. Valencia on third, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but that's literally it. Man City take it back from Liverpool, first and second, just like in real life, they were fighting for the title. Chelsea kind of low, barely on 7th. They're getting the Champions League, so I believe they've won the Europa League. Going down, Leicester, Derby and Bristol City. Crystal Palace is staying up. Moving up, Huddersfield, Blackburn and Sheffield. Moving on, Serie A. Inter, ahead of Roma, so we finally broke Juventus' dominant spell. Dusan Vlahovic is the top scorer, and leads with Cutrone, Fiorentina to the Champions League football. Juventus finishes third. Bologna is again in Europe. Napoli kind of lowly on 8th. Bundesliga, I can already see Bayern is back on top. Ahead of Borussia, Leipzig and Stuttgart. Haaland and Lewandowski fighting for the top score. What is Nketiah doing in Freiburg? But to the Ligue 1, and what we can see is Paris Saint-Germain going almost perfect. Almost went perfect. Who did they get these 3 draws against? Twice against Monaco and once against Bordeaux, who are still in Ligue 1 here. I haven't even noticed, and they finished on decent 8th. Pretty much back on track, I wanna say. Porto is likely to start their dominant spell here. Of course, it's only them or Benfica winning the league in the recent 20 years. But Porto looks like the dominant force of this save ahead of Benfica. Then we've got Braga. Sporting is barely on 6th. They have a disaster of a season. Ajax wins the Eredivisie, massive advantage over Eindhoven and AZ. Feyenoord won the European playoff. Den Haag and Sittard going down. And last but not least, position playoffs. Relegation group 5th place. Why are we having a playoff? For the 5th place... This is... Wow. Why is there a playoff? League points in previous stage, results between teams in previous stage, goal difference, goals scored, games won. Lechia Gdańsk, after so much trouble in real life, which you can watch the video that is on the top right, they've won the Polish League. They've won the Polish League. Amazing stuff, basically speaking. Champions League, Liverpool on penalties stops Paris Saint-Germain. Let's go. Anything massive in terms of the quarters? No, business as usual. Of course, there's one Russian team that always makes it, and that's always Zenit. But let's go to the Europa League, and that's Chelsea who won it on extra time against Manchester United. And then we've got Roma, Manchester United, Southampton. Other than that, I don't see anything massive here. Legia Warsaw made it in the 3rd place, and they will be playing in something you'll find out in a second. We've got the Europa Conference League, and Valencia beats Olympiacos in extra time. We're so close from seeing a Greek team win a European trophy, and they would do it 2 years early. They were so close, but other than that, it's mainly the top leagues in the latter stages. Now in 2022, there would be a World Cup, but because it's in Qatar, we have to wait until November, and then we'll see how the World Cup turns out. But yeah, first the transfer window, and then we'll go to the World Cup. September 2022. What transfers did the teams make? Frenkie de Jong went to Paris Saint-Germain. Erling Haaland finally leaves Borussia Dortmund, but for Chelsea. Insane transfers, because of course Ruben Neves joins as well. They let Pulisic go to Real Madrid. Paris Saint-Germain also getting a massive transfer window with many exits and entrants. With Rafa, for example, going to Paris Saint-Germain. Cucurella, never seen Chelsea, went to Barcelona and then Atleti instead. Bukayo Saka left for West Ham. Adeyemi went to Borussia Dortmund, just like in real life. Rodri. Why did Rodri go from Atletico Madrid to Manchester City to Real Madrid and now to Juventus? Like, where is the point in that? Verratti in the winter transfer window went to Barcelona. Militao is now in Manchester City. Nelson Semedo in Manchester City as well. But yeah, this transfer window definitely looks really interesting. Why did Shakhtar have Karius and Areola both on goal? Why is Iwobi in Barcelona? But now we're moving to the World Cup to see how it turns out. How did it go? That is the big question. I can already see Poland got absolutely dumb. Argentina is out. Messi didn't make it to the knockouts even in his potential last World Cup. Italy, Ecuador, Portugal, Algeria, Brazil, Mexico, Netherlands, Jamaica made it to the knockouts ahead of Belgium. Uruguay, Croatia, Denmark, Colombia, France, England, Germany, Nigeria. It's all business as usual apart from Jamaica making it to the knockouts. But Jamaica unfortunately got eliminated. Quarters, Brazil goes through, Germany, France on penalties though, and Italy. In the semi-final we've got France and Brazil final, and that was won by France 1-0. Who scored it? Moussa Dembele scored a World Cup winning goal for France. Let's just see that. Dembele is on the right wing, marching forward, gets past like 3 people, and Dembele gets a rebound and scores a deciding goal. Now I'm going to the end of the season, and we'll see what happens at the end of 2023. Nuno Espirito Santo, after getting sacked from Wolves, a Pro League position, is now managing in China. La Liga and Spain, still the most reputable league in Europe, and it's a back and forth again. This time it's Real Madrid, just 2 points over Barcelona. Ansu Fati again a top scorer for Barcelona. Lionel Messi still getting 8 Players of the Match awards. But moving on to the Premier League, Manchester City again, 99 points. That was so close from actually going to 100. Bruno Fernandes is a top scorer as well. That's wild actually. Ahead of Erling Haaland and Martinez. Going down, Leeds, Everton, Aston Villa. Going up, Leicester, West Brom and Bristol City finally in the Premier League. Next up is Serie A. Lazio 1, Juventus 2nd, Napoli 3rd. So at least the Serie A gets interesting again. Torino, Livorno and Perugia are going down. Bundesliga. Bayern, Bayer, Borussia, Leipzig, the usual stuff. You did not expect anything here pretty much. And the Liga, of course, 97 points this time around. Monaco, Lyon, Reims and Montpellier in Europe. That's actually very interesting. Strasbourg is also on the rise up. Kylian Mbappe ahead of Mane are top scorers. Portugal, again, 4th this time around. Honestly, 4th championships in a row. At least Sporting is doing a bit better, finishing 4th. Eredivisie, please. And Eredivisie is now the 10th most reputable league in Europe. Ajax won over PSV, Feyenoord, AZ Heerenveen, NAC Breda and Excelsior going down. And in Poland, Legia is back on top. For the 2nd time in 3 years, Pogoń, Lechia and Jagiellonia on the top 4. Wisła Płock doing quite well on 6. Champions League, business as usual in the knockouts. Can't see anything extraordinary. Then we go to the first knockout round. Nothing unusual here. But there's no Zenit. I cannot see Zenit. Ancelotti was in Manchester United and got sacked. That's massive. Manchester United won the Champions League final and Carlo Ancelotti still got sacked after winning the Champions League. After winning the Champions League from Manchester United, this starts to get weird. Europa League, who's won? As I thought, Arsenal over Porto in the final. Anything interesting in the latter stages? Standard Liège from Belgium, going far is actually an achievement, as well as Porto and Braga in the Portuguese quarter-final. Conference League, and here Borussia Mönchengladbach win over Bologna. Now here's where the things are a bit more interesting with Rosenborg, aka Athens. Yeah, it's pretty usual, couple of teams from outside the top leagues in the Conference League knockouts. We'll check the coefficients in 2025, but that's it in terms of this 22-23 season. Jadon Sancho went from Chelsea straight to Arsenal. That's the first thing I've noticed. Chelsea bought Florentino Luis. It's only played in Benfica and Hertha, and they almost paid a record fee for him. And it's Valverde who went to Manchester City, just like Justin Kluivert, who is much better than we hoped he would be. Oyarzabal went to Juventus. Ousmane Dembele, yet another move, this time a real-life move, to Paris Saint-Germain. Alphonso Davies went to Leipzig, then to Manchester United. Ruben Dias went to Barcelona after, I guess, just a single season. Tomori and Abraham both left for Manchester City. Luis Diaz, do I know this guy? I know this guy from Liverpool, and he's went to Brighton here after a stint at Porto. What is Lacazette doing in Shakhtar Donetsk? Yeah, in terms of the rest, I'm seeing business as usual, so I guess we're now moving to the end of the 23-24 season and see what happens there. we're going to La Liga Santander, still the most reputable league in Europe, and we can see Barcelona takes the title away from Real Madrid, and even Atletico finished ahead of Los Blancos. The final Champions League slot goes to Valencia, then we've got Sevilla, Athletic Club and Real Sociedad and Villarreal, so I'd say usual stuff. It's time to move into the Premier League, and of course Manchester City wins it. Just like in real life, but this time it was an insanely close title battle, with Liverpool and Manchester United both getting 89 points, just 3 behind Manchester. Bristol went down, level on points against Leicester. Going up will be Everton, Leeds United is up there as well, Middlesbrough is going up as well, won probably against Aston Villa, yes, in the playoff, that was fairly dominant. But now moving on to the Serie A, Lazio does it again. Are we entering some Lazio's dominant spell? Inter, Juventus, Roma, the rest of the Champions League places, Napoli, Milan and Udinese going to Europe, so I believe Udinese won the Coppa Italia as well. But now moving on to the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern is second, just 1 point behind, then Leipzig, then Bayer. Going down Hanover and Bochum. And moving on to Ligue 1. Yes. 102 points for Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe and Belotti both top scorers. Lyon and Monaco kinda close, I wanna say. Angers, by the way, going 5th. That's actually massive for them. Liga NOS in Portugal, and Porto does it again in front of Braga, Rio Ave. Benfica is down to 4th. Sporting is down to 5th. Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV, Willem, Herenveen in Europe, Polish League. Legia Warsaw wins it again in front of Lechia and Lech. Legia actually dominating the whole thing. Going down Arka Gdynia. Wigry Suwałki, they dropped like the 5th tier, I remember, in real life in around 2022. And they've done it here, they're in the top flight at least. In the Champions League final, Tottenham won the Champions League. Manchester City in the final. The rest of the knockouts is business as usual, unless I see a proper sensation here in the knockouts. No. Lyon won over RB Leipzig, so they're not having a disaster. They actually win things here, and they've won the Europa League. And to the Conference League, Udinese won, but in the knockouts, Famalicão from Portugal, Galatasaray from Turkey, both making it to the semi, aka Athens is also here, Ludogorets Razgrad from Bulgaria. That's it in terms of what's gone on in the 23-24 season. Now it's time to move into the Euros. Who won the Euros? And I can already see it came home to England. But what actually happened? That's the question. England won over Italy, Netherlands, France, Portugal in the knockouts. Not a single upset here, to be fair. Russia and Ukraine played together in a group. What is this? What is this? They banned from playing each other. What happened here? Maybe something massive happened in the knockouts. And I want to say, Denmark and Switzerland going to the quarters. It's actually quite a decent result. But other than that, Benelux nations go out in the semis. But that's really it in terms of massive things that have happened. So I guess the best course of action here is to go to the end of the transfer window for the penultimate time and see what actually went on the transfer market. And Kai Havertz went to Barcelona. Also got Thiago Almada going to Hertha Berlin for 135 million. João Felix actually fulfills his potential and goes to Manchester City. Same for Elias Moriba going to Liverpool. Jose Maria, the wonder kid, goes to Real Madrid. Cunha is in Inter. Brandt went to Real Madrid. Vinicius Jr., what a journey, by the way. What am I watching? Vinicius Jr. went from Real Madrid to Roma to Manchester City, and now he's in Atletico Madrid. He's going to be so hated. He's going to be so hated. Next level trolling by FM. Doesn't see Manchester United, only goes to Juventus. James Maddison goes to Chelsea, as well as Nico Elvedi. Divock Origi, the hero for Liverpool, went from Liverpool to Lyon, then now to West Ham. Jorginho is in Juventus. Ruben Dias changes the club for yet another time. From Benfica to Inter to Barcelona, now to Monaco. Harry Winks making moves in China. Who are DL Pro? They're in China. De Bruyne is in Juventus as well. Didn't he go like to Napoli in real life? Yes, he did go to Napoli and now he's gone to Juventus in this game. Roberto Firmino is in Paris Saint-Germain. Hakim Ziyech went to Paris Saint-Germain and now is in Juventus. Niels is also a Nugent. Like, we've got a couple of massive Nugent transfers here. And I guess the Nugents will be taking over sooner than later. And in the final season we might see more of them. But for now, let's just go to the end of the season. Honestly, what am I watching is absolute cinema. We're in the year 2025, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked from Manchester United in 2020. Then he returned to Manchester United and got sacked again. And best of all, The man who sacked him now is Tomasz Rząsa, who in real life is a director of football in Lech Poznań in Poland. And now he's managing Manchester United all of a sudden. No way. The Poles took over Manchester United. What is this? Also, why do you need like 10 directors? Absolute cinema. Poland is strong. Poland has a top English club. And we're starting off in La Liga, where Gabriel Jesus is the second top scorer, behind Thales Magno from Brazil, who came from Vasco da Gama. But Gabriel Jesus led Barcelona to a second league title in a row, ahead of Atletico and Real Madrid, all of those teams getting over 90 points, dominating the Spanish league as usual. Moving on to the Premier League, Manchester City, another wide dominant season, ahead of Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Crystal Palace made it to Europe. Brilliant news that is. Serie A, Lazio, Inter, Napoli. So Lazio is definitely dominating the league from now on, although they finished just 3 points ahead of Inter. Juventus, Milan, Udinese making the rest of the European slots. Juventus on the downfall as well. Borussia Dortmund, second title in a row, 5 points ahead of Bayern. Back and forth in the league pretty much between these two. Ligue 1, the usual, but I just want to know the advantage. 95 points, only a single loss. Lyon and Monaco, the rest of the Champions League slots. Nice, Lille, Marseille, the rest of the European slots. Porto won it again. Benfica is second. Sporting finally back on track with the third place. Boavista and Vitória de Guimarães making it to Europe. Ajax won over Heerenveen, AZ, Vitesse, Feyenoord. Eindhoven only 6. Ajax dominated the league. Waalwijk, Excelsior and Sparta Rotterdam going down. Lechia wins it back from Legia again after 2 seasons. Lech and Legia in the 2 other slots. Wisła Płock wins the Polish Cup. Who's won then? Liverpool on penalties over Barcelona. We've also got an El Clasico in the semi-final. Barcelona won it. But other than that, nothing to see here pretty much. Europa League. And now it's Schalke who won over Manchester United. Manchester United, they've won the Champions League recently. They've won the Champions League in the save, and now they've lost to Schalke. Any massive story? Maybe Copenhagen and Angers both making it to the round of 16. Yeah, nothing else. And the conference... What? What am I watching? Wait, hold on a second. Legia Warsaw finished third in the group with Ferencváros, Athletic Bilbao and Wolves. Of course, there wasn't much of a chance for them to reach the Europa League knockouts, so they went down to the Conference League and almost won it. They lost to Sociedad on extra time. What? They went past Napoli. They went past Napoli. What is this? I mean, beating Craiova is normal. Beating Dynamo Kiev in 2019 circumstances, that's a bit of an upset, but I wouldn't say an insane upset. FCSB, pretty much an equal opponent. Napoli. They beat Napoli. Insane. That is simply insane what we've just seen here. We'll go through one more season. I'm actually going to over-deliver. We'll see what happens in 2026 to round this video up with a World Cup in US, Canada and Mexico. And this is where we'll end this save. This video accidentally became us following the story of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is now at Crystal Palace. But we're here for the transfers in September. And what we're seeing is Ansu Fati leaving Barcelona for Chelsea. Foden is in Real Madrid. Marco Cana, a Belgian, is in Real Madrid as well. Zaniolo is in Manchester City. Embolo went to Manchester United. Kluivert, Torreira in Barcelona. So many Barcelona transfers here. Rodri, did you just complete? He went to all Atletico, Real and Barcelona, the top 3 of Spain. Nathan Ake is in Arsenal. Lemar is in Inter. Nuno Mendes went to China instead of conquering Europe with Paris Saint-Germain. Olivier Ncham is in China as well. Guehi went back to Crystal Palace. Actually, he did go to Crystal Palace. There was no return here, he just went to Crystal Palace. Varane is in Juventus, still playing football. Kacper Kozłowski actually fulfilling his talent of some sorts because he's in Leicester. Kownacki from Poland is in Crystal Palace. Naby Keita is in Sampdoria from Barcelona, straight from Barcelona. Brian Fiabema was in Chelsea. This man cannot kick a ball straight in Poland with Lech Poznań today. Hyung-Son Min is in Huddersfield as well. What a squad do they have? I need to check this out. Son, they've got João Pedro, Marcos Leonardo, Castagne. Insane team for Huddersfield, to be fair. Jude Bellingham is in Leeds. Jude Bellingham in Leeds. The rest of this is pretty normal transfer business going on. Football Manager 2020 did predict that Saudi Arabia is going to do something, just not of the scale they're doing it today. Kvichak Kvaratskhelia is in Ajax. He's finally made it out of Russia. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it here and we'll go to the end of the season. It's the year 2026, the final season in this save, and for all of you wondering, these are all the best players in the world right now. It's Kylian Mbappe up front, then it's Ansu Fati, then it's Vasily Drozdov and Nugent from Manchester City, then we've got Jonathan David, Kai Havertz, Takanori Kavanami from Manchester City, Haaland is in Chelsea, Frankie de Jong is in Paris Saint-Germain, Jose Maria, another Nugent, is in Real Madrid, João Felix is in Manchester City as well, Justin Kluivert and Marcus Rashford rounds up top 13. La Liga is no longer the most reputable league in Europe, and Barcelona won it in front of Atletico and Real, so we haven't seen anything interesting in this save from Spain. Tottenham won the Premier League in front of Liverpool, Manchester United, City, Arsenal and Chelsea. Huddersfield is doing quite well on 12th, Crystal Palace in 13th, Norwich on 8th is also worth a shout. Going down, West Brom, Blackburn and Nottingham, and in the Championship going up, Everton, Bristol and Bournemouth. Everton basically switching between the Premier League and the Championship every single season. But moving on to the Serie A, Inter break Lazio's dominant era. Lazio dropped down all the way to 5th, but the top basically is still the top, nothing to see here. Bundesliga, Bayern takes back from Borussia Dortmund, as usual. Ligue 1, wow, that was actually pretty close. It's probably only on goal difference between PSG and Lyon. That was so close. We are so close from Paris Saint-Germain having their streak broken, but Kylian Mbappe is just too good with 27 goals. Benfica, Braga, Porto. So Benfica stops Porto from having a perfect record. Wins the Portuguese league in the final season. Even Braga went ahead of the Porto side. Ajax have the perfect record. They did what Porto couldn't do. Kerinven, Feyenoord, AZ and PSV Eindhoven all getting to Europe. So let's move on to the Ekstraklasa. And Legia won it again, ahead of Lechia Gdańsk and Pogoń Szczecin and Górnik Zabrze. So it looks like that Conference League run definitely helped the Polish league. And now I want to move on to the rest of the leagues we have available. And starting off in Argentina. Racing Club wins, but mostly it's Boca Juniors. Then we're having Austria, Red Bull Salzburg with a perfect record. Belgium, it's mainly Genk. But Club Brugge definitely got a couple more titles on the way. Like, they've won most titles in this save. Brazil, the most recent winners are Santos and Grêmio and Palmeiras and Flamengo. So pretty interesting things going on in Brazil. China, Beijing won, if I pronounce that correctly. They've won most recent 4 titles. In Croatia, I guessed it, Dinamo Zagreb, like I thought, no debate here, they just keep winning. Czechia, Prague, of course getting all the titles, but Slavia were stopped by Sparta in contention for the final league title, but of course Championship group has finished, and it's Victoria Pilsen now. That's getting interesting, even though it's still the top 3 only. Danish Superliga, and I could already tell, Copenhagen and Midtjylland back and forth exchange for the league titles. Norway, Vålerenga Oslo won, and I cannot see neither of Bodo Glimt or Molde winning it. Okay, Molde's won in the very first season because they have the summer season system and somehow Molde had to win that one. Romania, and this is where the things are also getting very interesting. Craiova started with 2 league titles, between them Cluj also won, FCSB with 2 league titles, and now it's Viitorul Constantia winning in 2025 and in 2026 it's Cluj. Slovakia, Dom Bratislava, but they don't have the perfect record. And that's because Dunajska Streda won the league title in 2025. We want to see that season. What happened there that they've won the title? Žilina only won 3rd place. What a disaster. Dunajska Streda absolutely deserved that title. Sweden, and it's Kalmar, currently leading, but it's not the end of the story because they haven't won the league yet. It's Malmö with 3 titles, Hammarby with 2 and Norrköping with 2. Turkey, Sivasspor won the league. This is actually huge if you follow the Turkish league, because aside from Galatasaray, Besiktas, Fenerbahce and Trabzonspor, Bursaspor won in 2010, and as far as I'm aware, this is basically it. And in the most recent season, of course, it's Fenerbahce. They are now the dominant force with 4 titles in a row. We've got a major upset there. And to round things up, Major League Soccer in the US, and I can see Seattle Sounders, DC United, Atlanta, Cincinnati, FC Dallas and DC United winning titles. Basically, this thing is getting very interesting because some people might be interested in Inter Miami. Well, not doing that well. They even finished 26th in the Supporters Shield, which is the general MLS standings from both conferences. Europe, Liverpool won on penalties over Real Madrid, and they defended the title. Any big business in the knockouts? I cannot see. Sevilla in the quarters, respectable effort. Moving on to the Europa League, and it's Napoli who won over Manchester United. Let's go to the 3. Zenit was in the Europa League quarters. Marseille won in extra time over Bayer. Crusaders from Northern Ireland are in the European knockout. Are you kidding me? Lechia is in the quarters, so let's go Poland. Lech was also in the knockouts, but lost to Ludogorets Razgrad. Lechia got revenge on them. But yeah, other than that, no big of a surprise. Maybe Club Brugge in the semi-final also had a good run. Nation Club coefficients. And it's England, of course, on top. No surprise here. Top 7 stayed as top 7. Russia are using their no-ban to the best use, getting on 8th. Greece and Switzerland rounding up the top 10. Poland on 17th, doing better and better. Austria in 22nd is quite low. Hungary in 30th as well. Slovenia in 35th is also quite low, to be honest. We found out the best players right now, but I also want to find out some of the biggest names. And we know that Jude Bellingham went to Leeds United. We know Haaland is in Chelsea. We know Kylian Mbappe, he's an elite player for Paris Saint-Germain and he's not left for Real Madrid in here. Messi is no longer a player and he's coaching at Real Sporting de Gijón. He's an under-19 manager. What about Cristiano Ronaldo? I believe he's also retired at this point. Cristiano Ronaldo, on the other hand, is an assistant manager at Sporting. He's finished his career at Juventus. Definitely did not get the 1,000 goals. No chance for that, to be fair. Neymar is still playing and he's playing in Paris Saint-Germain's reserves. I mean, he's still insane technically, but his physicals are no longer there. Oh yeah, he's retiring after the World Cup. Robert Lewandowski is waiting for someone to ask him to be a director of football. He's moved to Porto in 2024. That's massive for a loan. Vinicius Jr., as we said, Real Madrid, Roma, Manchester City, Atletico Madrid. Yamal, of course, isn't here. Ødegaard and De Bruyne. He's been to Hertha. He's been in Real Sociedad. I mean, he's got an okay career, but I wouldn't say he's got the career he wanted in particular. But he's looking to leave the club in the near future. De Bruyne is in Juventus. Went insanely downhill physically, but still doing well tactically. And Eden Hazard is the final player I want to find out. Of course, no more pace, because in FM20, if you turned 30, you basically couldn't run anymore. But before the final World Cup, I also want to find out what about the continental competitions. Brazil won in Copa America in 2024, Peru won in 2020, North America, USA won in 2025, Mexico won in 2023, and Jamaica won in 2021. Africa Cup of Nations. Ivory Coast won the most recent edition, Nigeria was winning it twice, and in the AFC Asian Cup, the only edition we've got was in 2023, South Korea won over Japan. It's time to move into the World Cup. Let's see who's won, and I believe it could be Italy. It could be Italy, because I can see best goalkeeper, best player of Fortunari. So who's won? I mean, they were in the final, but Ansu Fati scoring 10 goals in a single World Cup and Brian Fiabema scoring 5. Okay, so how did the ladder look like? We've got 16 groups of 3, because back then this was the system that was proposed for the 2026 World Cup onwards. We've got in the 3rd place playoff, England winning over France in extra time. Then in the quarters we've got Wales, that's a surprise, Mexico, Portugal, Germany, South Korea, Croatia, Norway, Argentina, Uruguay, Sweden, Albania, and Albania in the round of 16. And Angola in the round of 32. That's actually huge. But now let's move into some individual aspect that I have not mentioned in this video. I'm looking for award winners of the Ballon d'Or. And as you can see, it's Kylian Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe, Lautaro Martinez, and Kylian Mbappe. I mean, Lautaro Martinez is up there as well, and he's won the only Ballon d'Or that hasn't been won by Kylian Mbappe. But yeah, Kylian dominating the world football, basically. He's got a contract until 2030, so that's huge news as well. But this is it in terms of what's happened in this save. Quite a few things have happened in this save, I must admit. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, I'd be very grateful for that. And on your screen right now is the video from another save lookup from FM24, the newest edition. That's the save from the Ultimate Glory Hunter Challenge, which was an adventure and a half. And I hope you'll enjoy that as well.